present you an interview with Harald Kautz-Vella. You will hear a lot of interesting things. Subscribe to the channel. Press the bell so as not to miss new episodes. Happy viewing.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Age of Truth TV. I'm Lucas Alexander in northern Germany between Hamburg and Berlin. It's the 28th of October 2020 and our guest today has been revealing fascinating hidden secrets and eye-opening information for many years. Black goo, transhumanism, AI, 5G, chemtrails, the money game, and the power elite control system, just to name a few. He's a physicist and a researcher. Harald Kautz-Vella. Harald Kautz-Vella. That is the German way to say it. In English, I think it would be Harald Kautz-Vella.
Yes, in general, this is what I used to be called. The Vella is gone. I got divorced a couple of years ago. I kept the name online for making it easier for people to find me, but it's about time to go back to Harald Kautz, like I was born.
So actually Harald Kautz.
Actually Harald.
And just Harald, really. Thank you so much for inviting us here to your home here in actually the countryside in the middle of nowhere between Hamburg and Berlin in Germany. It's wonderful to meet you. It's wonderful to be here. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You have so many topics to talk about. You have been researching for so many years and you were also studying to become a physicist, and you know so many things about the esoteric realm, about spirituality, about the occult, about robonetics, I guess you could actually call it, whatever connects us to the elite plan to connect the human mind to AI. And there are so many things we want to get into. At the moment, we are late October, close to Halloween in 2020. And this year has been a really crazy, extraordinary, and very difficult year due to the COVID-19 coronavirus. So it's wonderful to be close to somebody and be in the same room. So, what is actually, if you could sum it up to begin with, we have a lot of things to cover. What do you think is really going on here in 2020? What is this all about, what we're experiencing right now? Are we living in a, let's say, a cursed matrix, or is it how it should be?
Well, what we do see is the coronation of the new world order. This is what they try to get through. And this is not that we live in a matrix. Most of the things you kind of get from mainstream are upside down. It's what we perceive at the moment is the attempt to establish a matrix, to actually shut down the spiritual realm we come from and we partly still live in. It depends on the spiritual setup. And at the moment they roll out the technologies that are necessary to actually replace us by avatars that run on computers. This is what's happening, and they really have a hard time, like all the monitoring and spying software, the resolution of the radar systems monitoring single people. They don't work when people get too close to each other. So we have the social distancing laws to keep us at least 1.5 meters away from each other, because only then they can read our minds. So many things that come in a context of COVID, for example, are actually something completely else, something connected to this rollout of a technological realm that tries to disconnect us from the divine and reconnect us to an AI-based hive consciousness. This is what we observe.
So we see the COVID attack on human consciousness, war on consciousness, actually, because of the rollout of 5G with social distancing, and then the rollout of Elon Musk's satellite kill grid, as some researchers call it, smart cities, smart meters, what have you.
It all links in. It's one concept. Not everything. I don't really believe that Elon Musk is who he says he is and does what he does, because when you see his rocket launches, at a certain point you have a mouse running over the rocket at 18 Mach speed at 20 kilometers height. So this is all scam. What is displayed, what he does. What we do see is lines of satellites being distributed, but I'm not even sure that they come from human resources.
He's part of the whole thing, like Bill Gates, of course.
These are just puppets. You don't know the real players. And they are even not so important. Even if you come to the head of the human-run structure, like the human pyramid that is a control and government structure, they don't have to say too much as well. Actually, this is galactic, and there are different forces within the universe that have different ideas of how humanity should continue.
And who would they be?
If you go into the New Age scene, you have all sorts of people channeling whoever is channeled, like commanders of Starfleets from different Sirius system or Pleiadians. I don't trust too much into channelings of that sort.
But it's not necessarily just New Age channelers who talk about these things anymore. It is actually also, widely accepted by many people in the field of UFO research and people who are into esoteric knowledge in general. I know you are as well.
It's a difficult situation. Saying that we are alone in the universe is totally crap. We have 500 entries a day of things that are too big for a meteorite, but they don't crash down. This is what official monitoring of NASA displays in their data. So we are surrounded by other civilizations, but they all have this contracts that force them not to interact with the humans.
They have a contract. Well, is that part of what they call the Galactic Federation of Light, where different species from different star constellations and different planetary systems meet? They have a representative, like a big galactic council.
Something like that. That could be one force, one side, and the other ones are more individually working civilizations that are out there to harvest raw materials from planets. So they're here to exploit Earth, and they don't like us because we're too spiritual for them. From the original setup of the human design, we are too spiritual. Not at the moment. At the moment, we are ways below our possibilities.
Is it because we have empathy?
That is one part, but empathy is quite common even in between animals. What we do have is this direct access to become creational. That is due to the genetics, that actually our consciousness is creating what we perceive, and once we relearn to turn that around, that we consciously decide what to feel and what to think, then we are not subject to reality anymore, then reality becomes subject to us and we will be creational.
So when you say creational, do you mean it's because we can mate, we can have sex, and we procreate?
No, we can move mountains. This is what is written in the Bible.
Please talk about that.
If you go into the spiritual setup, a normal human, like we came out from 25,000 years of social engineering, from the deterioration from when we expelled from paradise. This is the period of social engineering to limit our ability. So the way we came out from this is split into mind and emotion. And the two set up struggling with each other for dominance internally. This is how we experience ourselves, the way we were made, not by nature, but by social engineering, by religions, by all sorts of influences.
Human-made constructs.
Human-made and non-human-made. But this is the basic condition we need to deal with. When a human manages to revive his heart consciousness, the thoughts turn into something that is embedded in the heart consciousness, and the emotion turns into something that is embedded within heart consciousness. So it becomes one. It is impossible to have a contradiction between the two. And when you reach this condition, that actually the main identification is with heart consciousness, and the thought is a subterrane and the emotion is a subterrane, but because the identification is in the core, in the center, in the complexity of the heart consciousness. This binary thinking and the trinary emotion become part of the 12th star, of the lotus flower structure of the heart. You know, the 2 goes into the 12, the 4 goes into the 12, the 6 goes into the 12, and the 3 goes into the 12. It's about symmetries of chakras, basically. So if the core identification is back in the heart, and all the rest becomes subordinated to it, everything is in coherence. And when this happens, we unfold these creational powers. And when this starts, it's like that what happens to us next day is what we create for ourselves. Like if my heart is in abundance, next day somebody comes along and gives me 2,000 euros as a present. You know, this is kind of the easy way that starts to flow into our reality.
Law of attraction.
The law of attraction, law of resonance, what I send out comes back to me. We're extremely strong in manifesting these equivalences into our lives. This is how it manifests at the moment. But when this heart consciousness grows stronger, we eventually come into the position that to say, okay, I dematerialize and materialize somewhere else. Because the core connection is to the spiritual realm through the heart chakra.
Because we are holographic in structure.
Yes.
As people.
Yes.
When you go close to the atom, it dissolves. And we're made of atoms.
Yes. In a way, yes. The body, in any case, is just a projection of our consciousness. The entire reality is a projection of our consciousness. The core structure creating these holograms, that's material holograms, is the DNA. And consciousness is the link between what we observe and the observer we are. So we create by observing through our DNA. So there is no reality we observe. There is only something we create by observing. And when this authority of being creational is back in the heart chakra, you can materialize an apple in your hand. You can change the color of your hair, whatever. This is being creational in the original sense.
By the power of thought.
Thought is too limited by the power of heart consciousness. The thought is part of this, but thought alone, thought alone is a psychopath. A psychopath is just identified with his mental field.
Not psychopath, but a psychopath, you mean?
No, per definition, somebody that is reduced to his mental field is a psychopath. He can be harmful or harmless. It doesn't make a difference. His mental structure or his spiritual structure is, he by identification is limited to his mental field. He doesn't feel anymore, and his heart is dead.
Subscribe to the channel. Press the bell so as not to miss new episodes. Take care of yourself.